Hello, this is Larry from Blue Collar Nation, and I'm here with my spectacular business partner, Eric Sprague, the Tech Whisperer. How are you today, Eric?
Doing great, Larry. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited today. We have an amazing guest today, an old friend, a wonderful friend, Mr. Darrin Preece of RAD Consulting. How are you today, Darrin?
I'm doing great, Larry. How you been?
Well, I've been inside for a couple days, and I think either I'm driving my family nuts or they're driving me nuts, one or the other.
Yeah,
Get in
I hear
line.
you. I hear you.
No, it's working out. We've been making the best of what's going on, and actually, there's a lot of opportunity to reach out to people, and that's what we've been doing. It's making a big difference. And
Absolutely.
Eric's got a couple questions for you. I think. What's going on, Mr.
Sure.
Tech Whisperer?
Well, I'm really happy to have Darrin on. Darrin was a mentor of ours, and
Darrin coached us for a while too, didn't he?
yeah, he did. And I respect Darrin's opinion. So, Darrin, I want to hit you with a couple things. Let's talk
Okay.
about money first, because that's a strong suit of yours. You really helped us with our finances over the years. So, there's a lot of companies. Let's take carpet cleaners for example. Until a couple days ago, they were considered non-essential services in a lot of places, and now they've become essential services. But a lot of these guys aren't busy because people just don't want them in their home.
Sure.
So, what would you say to? I mean, let's go through a couple different scenarios, Darrin. Like, if you got a couple vans and a couple guys, I think that's the typical carpet cleaner. I mean,
Sure.
you first got an owner operator. Let's pass that. Let's go if you got couple vans, couple guys, and all of a sudden money's getting real tight. What would your advice to those guys be?
Um, I would say, money's tough, and you've got to manage it and try and cut your overhead and that kind of thing. Overhead is the killer of business, and in this type of situation that we're in right now, you got to do everything that you can to conserve cash, right? And with carpet cleaning, especially with carpet cleaning, cash is king, and carpet cleaning is basically a cash business, right?
Yeah.
And so when you get put in a situation like we're in right now, and time, even though you're an essential business, people don't want you in your home. The biggest thing is if you want to make sure that you're taking care of your people as best as you can.
Yeah.
However, how you utilize that, you need to start prepping and planning for when these orders are going to be lifted, right?
Yeah.
Because with this virus and everything that's going on, people are going to want, the minute the order is lifted, they're going to want their place, their house, their business, everything cleaned, sanitized, disinfected. And so you got to start prepping for that now, and start teaching your people how to do it properly, to be professional. That type of thing is, in my opinion.
And I think that's the hard thing for a lot of guys in our world, whether, it doesn't matter if it's electrical or plumbing or carpet cleaning or whatever. We all can see that is when the lifting happens, it's going to be a boom. There's so
Right.
much opportunity, but it's trying to figure out how to survive until then.
Absolutely.
And, Larry and I have had lean times. We had, periods where, the economy wasn't doing great. And we would sit the guys down and we'd kind of rotate hours for each guy, try to give us, but the same thing is you can't bankrupt your company trying to give the guys all the hours, because you won't be in business by the time the boom comes.
Exactly.
And that's the rub that everybody's playing with right now. It's
Right.
like, would you suggest?
I think the biggest thing is owners, operators, they have to be honest with their people.
Yeah.
They have to sit down and have a conversation with them. I had a conversation with a company yesterday that has 10 employees. and virtually the bottom has fallen out because everything is stopped, right?
Yeah.
And the conversation that they have, yes, they've been hoarding cash to try and get through this whole thing, but they can't afford to pay their people other than the payroll that they have currently, right?
Right.
And so when they've paid this next payroll check or whatever and nothing's coming in, I've told them, I'm like, you have got to sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation with your people and help them understand, and because they'll understand. Make it available. I mean, unemployment,
They'll appreciate the conversation too. You'll be able to connect with
absolutely.
them.
They'll know that you care, but you got to have that difficult conversation that nobody likes to have.
Yeah. Well, and I think you need to be doing it a little bit every day leading up too, don't you think? Like, I mean, this isn't like a company's just getting slow because their marketing's not going well. I mean, I think all the team's going to be more on board knowing that, like, this is unprecedented stuff. I didn't do this to you.
Right.
By squandering opportunity or whatever.
Right. And the big thing is nobody wants to lay anyone off. No. Right. And nobody wants to lose their people. The conversation I had yesterday with this company was, you need to have that conversation with your people and explain to them that, hey, this is the time that we're in and we don't want to lose you. However, to help supplement your income, there are certain things that you may need to do for your family to go do, and even if it's to go throw freight at a grocery store at night, but when this is over, we want you back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the big thing too. It's, giving them the bad news, but also, I don't want to use the word selling them, but making them aware of what the future is going to hold as the lift happens. Because they need to know that there's something on the other side of that makes them want to come back.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you got to make them feel valuable.
Yeah. And what would you do with them, as far as overall attitude about the whole situation as well? Because, I know you well enough to know that you wouldn't just be talking about the nuts and bolts of all of this with everybody. You'd be talking about all of our attitudes and still the company culture, even though things are so hard.
Right. Well, that's it. You've got to instill company culture. It can't be gloom and doom. If you're the owner, you're the boss, you can't push that onto your people. You've got to put some positive light, and if you don't, and if it's just gloom and doom, and I'm sorry, everyone, you're going to have to leave today and I'll call you when it's over, your people are going to look at you like, wow.
Yeah.
And so you got to have that. Talk about the culture. You got to talk about your core values. You've got to talk about your mission and what benefit they are going to have and be when everything's lifted.
Yeah. Well, and it's an opportunity during the period when maybe they're not at work with you. Stay in touch with them. I mean, Larry's the king of that. Larry's texting them, hey, man, I'm thinking about you. Because we have these slow periods and we didn't want to lose people,
you're marketing to your team as much as you are as with your clients.
Yeah,
exactly.
So if they do go on unemployment or whatever, you've got to stay in their world so that they know. And it's actually an opportunity in some ways, because then when things get better again, they're going to be like, wow, Darrin was there for me, or Larry was there for me.
He cares. He's reaching out to me. Makes a difference.
Yeah. If you send them, home to self-quarantine or whatever, and they hear nothing from you for the whole duration, you just lost it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's going to be interesting after all of this plays out, because I think the companies that have that culture where the owner thinks the whole company's about he or she and views everybody as A, a nuisance, B, a number, just it's all dollars and cents and tasks, and they're going to have a really hard time keeping people.
Right.
Because the good people from all these companies that maybe weren't all that satisfied with that company culture are going to be like, oh, there's job openings over at the local plumbing company. I'm going to go. This is my opportunity to go.
Exactly.
So, I mean, all three of us are pushing culture all the time, but
Right.
now it's more important than
If
ever.
you're a business owner, now is when your leadership needs to be shining.
Yeah, exactly. What about marketing? What about marketing for, when, what would you say guys should be doing now to get ready for when the lift comes?
Well, in the cleaning and restoration industry, because that's our background, I would say, but first and foremost, you're not going to go out and do face-to-face marketing right now, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna have, there's no one that's going to let you in their door, and so you've got to utilize social media as much as possible. Facebook Live is freaking awesome, and you can reach a lot of people really fast using social media, using Facebook.
Yeah.
Talk to all your employees and say, hey, I'm going to do a Facebook Live video. Please go on and share it to all of your friends and family, right? Send out some email marketings pieces to your clients about, hey, we're prepared to, when this is all over, disinfect, to sanitize, and start really prepping yourself for that, because it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And
I just told some clients yesterday, they're kind of new to it all. And I was like, look, there's going to be so much commercial work. These offices are going to, and I was like, you guys better get on LinkedIn real fast and start trying to connect with local business managers, facility managers, owners. Now's the time to.
Sorry, I did put
It's a
my
pretty
phone on
cool
silent.
ringtone, Darrin.
It's cool. It made me want to dance.
Is that like
Little-
Judas
Right, yeah.
Priest or something?
Little AC/DC.
Okay, I was close. But yeah, in addition to Facebook, you can make so much headway so quickly on LinkedIn.
Right.
I had done a poor job of that until the last year or so.
Sure. Yeah, LinkedIn's great. It's Facebook Live, Instagram Live. I mean, there's a lot of places you can go.
Yeah, you need just
but
this
the
the
biggest
content.
thing is, yeah, putting it out there and getting your people behind you to do it.
Yeah.
And helping them, or teaching them along the way. We're going to be doing this, and we've got to be professional. We've got to do this. We've got to do this. I was talking with, just for an instance, yesterday, I was talking with a restaurant owner that has 14 restaurants. And what's going to happen, even though the restaurants are open for takeout or whatever, if a restaurant gets one person that's infected with COVID-19 and has to shut down, in our area, they will be required by law to have a third party come in and clean and sanitize their entire facility before they can reopen.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the opportunity for our
Well,
audience.
and Darrin, I think, where you are in Idaho, like if you contrast that to California, I bet there it's going to be even more,
Right.
a lot more rules, but obviously a lot more opportunity as well.
Exactly. And the other thing is too, is you've got to do it right. I've seen signs all over town, all over our town of Boise.
Dude, we're seeing some gnarly stuff out there.
Just that says, hey, we'll fog your house and it will sanitize your house. I mean, let's be above board, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I've mentioned this like 3 times, but I'm just so blown away with it on Instagram. I saw some random carpet cleaning company that I don't know say, do like 4 rooms and you get a free coronavirus cleaning of your house.
Right. Come on.
What's that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's some guys, we had Anissa and Kevin Coy on the other day talking about that. I think there's some guys that are going to get in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the Wild West out there right now.
Right. And
Yeah,
the guys are saying, oh, we're using all these EPA approved chemicals. Well, freaking 2,4-D Roundup is an EPA approved chemical. I mean, what are you using?
Yeah, right. Well, and also, what are the methods?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something you can just spray and say, yeah, you're all sanitized.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed Cross is going to do real well right now.
Right.
Cross, the restoration attorney.
Ed Cross is going to do tremendously well right now.
I'm reaching out to him today. I want to get him on and talk about that exact thing.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Anyway, Darrin, final words. What other advice beyond what we've talked about would you give somebody who's not even just struggling, just, we're all dealing with this in our own way and our own struggles. So what would you just say to everybody?
You know what? I would say the biggest thing is when we're cooped up, we don't know what's going on out there in the world. We don't know what's going to happen really at this point, but we do know that it's going to end at some point.
Yeah.
Right. You've got to continue to work on yourself and continue to have a positive outlook, even in the midst of the negativity and everything that's going on. You've got to be grateful for what you have. Right. And if we can all do that, we're all going to come out of this on top. It's the people who it's just a bummer all the way around. And, when you're locked up in your house, for our, order for staying at home here is not 14 days. It's 21 days.
Well, Darrin, just to put this in perspective, I'm already on day 13.
Yeah. And how you doing?
Ask how his wife and kids are doing.
Let me ask.
I'm okay in the sense that it actually gives me in some ways more time to work, because there's nothing else.
Right.
But, hey, man, I miss my friends. I miss hanging out. I miss going to the store. I miss, the normal things that you do. We were commenting real quick last night, my wife and I, telling our kids, like, this is kind of what life was more like in the 70s and 80s. Like, the
absolutely.
pace reminds me much more of the pace that happened when we were kids.
Yeah, when we were kids.
Right.
And, I don't think all of that's bad. I mean, if you're trying to take away some good out of this, the slowing down, I think Larry and I talked about it right before. It's actually helping us think. It's clearing our mind because we don't have as much stuff just flying at us constantly.
Right.
So there's opportunity.
There's total opportunity. I was reading something, I think it was on LinkedIn yesterday, that there's been more millionaires, more very, very successful entrepreneurs come about in times of disaster, stress, issues in the world than there ever has been. And, as there has been in other situations. And so it really made me stop and think, what am I going to do to be that next
successful person? Because why do people make money? Because they solve problems for people.
Right.
So, everybody's like, oh, greedy entrepreneurs are talking about, capitalizing on this. Well, yeah, but that's, entrepreneurs are the people who solve the problems. And yes, of course, to have a business, you have to take income in for that.
Right. It's not about taking advantage of people. It's about creating solutions and fixing issues.
Exactly. So anyway, Darrin, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, it's great having you.
We want to have you on the full show again, but we don't know when we're going to do the full show again. So,
I hear you.
Anyway, brother, you have a good day, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. You guys too. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. Take care.
All right. Be safe.